Okay, hi there, and welcome back, or welcome to the Calling for Orpheus Knitting Podcast. My name is Connor, and you can find me at Calling for Orpheus on Ravelry, and Connor is creating on Blue Sky, both of which will be linked below. And I am going to talk about some of that social media stuff towards the end of the video, because I doubt most people really care about it, but there are some relevant things to say. So, been about a month. I've made a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff. Not all of it is knitted. Actually, I think most of it is not. Um, but yeah, I've made a lot of stuff. I've got 4 finished objects, including what I'm wearing. I've got like 4 whips, I think. I've got 1 project in hibernation, but I've made progress on it since last time, so I'm going to show you anyway. No, actually 5 whips, so you know the spinning. I've got plans. It's a lot, okay? It's a lot, and I was going to record this the first weekend of February, but I put it off because I was like, it's going to be a lot. I just don't want to do it. But I have an opportunity today. I'm here. The first thing that I want to say after all of that is, if you can hear my air conditioning, I'm sorry, it's 60 today, and I'm on the 2nd floor, so if I opened the window, trust me, it would not be sweater weather, and I want to wear the sweaters that I've made in these videos. So I've got the AC on. It is what it is. Hopefully, once it's supposed to cool down again, and hopefully we might be able to get 1 more video out of the season where I can actually have my window open and fresh air coming in. You won't hear the air conditioning, but I honestly have no idea. So we're going to start today with my knitted finished object, I suppose. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to say, I always forget this in every single video. If I always forget to say it, but I need to say it, there will be, along with all the links that I have for like my social media, my Ravelry, my patterns, all that, there's also going to be timestamps, both in the description and along the scrub bar. So if there's anything you want to skip, or anything that you want to skip to, you can just, scrub along the progress bar, and there will be chapters delineated. Okay. So we're going to start with the finished objects that I have that are knitted. I'll do it in chronological order, but the first one is knitted, which is this. And this is Taranika by Kirsten Michelle Kukulski. It's top-down, round yoke sweater. I believe there are 7 total colors. I honestly, because I have so much to talk about, I don't want to pause to count them, but I think there's 7 colors. You're only ever using 2 colors in a single round, so it's honestly not that hard. And I knitted this out of a multitude of different yarns. Here's how it fits me. I think I've got 7 inches of how many of these? 6 or 7 inches. And I knitted this out of it's all fingering weight sock yarn, or except for one. This is Passion Yarns Cherish in the colorway My Heart Beats Your Name. It's a merino cashmere nylon blend. This is Malabrigo Sock in the colorway Impressionist Sky, which I think is a merino and nylon blend. It might just be merino. This gold color here is Sorella Yarns Classic Sport, but it's not that thick, so it worked fine. In the colorway, I believe, is Joshua Tree. Then the random little bits of green and brown that I've got in here are all mini skeins. Some of them are Sorella mini skeins, and some of them are from Fairy Tale Yarn Co. I could not tell you the colorways, to be honest with you, because some of them just don't have labels at all. But yeah, here's what I'm working with. It fits great. I did modify this. I don't want to say that it's heavily modified, but I just made a lot of little modifications, and all of those are in my last podcast. But basically, I was between sizes, so I just altered the underarm cast on, and then the neckline was really wide, so I took it out. I took what I had done. I did have to do some surgery. I had to cut out some rounds because it was top down. I started with the neckline. Once I'd done that, I just picked back up and rebuilt the neckline, added a new collar, and I think it's a good height. I almost wish it was a little bit more snug, maybe, but it grew in blocking. It's fine. Yeah, I love this. I think it makes fantastic menswear, but if you are making it as menswear and you aren't completely certain that the person you're making it for likes a really big, wide neckline, you gotta modify the neckline, because it comes out really wide, either as a boat neck if you divide after the color work, or it's gonna come out as like a big scoop neck if you divide during the color work. Yeah, overall, I'm extremely happy with it. It's really soft. I'm wearing it just next to skin. I have nothing on under this, and I love it. It's lightweight. Even this big colorwork section, it doesn't feel too crazy warm. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. The one thing that I will say that is actually new from last time, other than the fact that I finished it, is that I wove in 32 ends, 32 for this yoke. Originally, I was just gonna braid them because I knew that I would have so many. But once I braided them, I had, the braid in the back, and I could physically feel it like pressing against my back, and it was super uncomfortable. I just couldn't. I thought I could kind of power through it and ignore it. I couldn't. So I undid the braid and I wove in 32 ends. It took me like an hour and a half. But it was so worth it. It's beautiful. I also did a full Italian bind off on both of the sleeves, and I'm gonna have to stand up for this, and on the bottom hem over, I believe, a course of something like 270 or 272 stitches, something like that. And the bind off on the body alone took me like 2 or 3 days to finish, but it was worth it. It was worth it. I really love this sweater. It's great. Okay. The next two things that I have chronologically are not knitted, but I'm going to interject with them. So the first of the two is this. This is a sewing project. Shocking. I don't like to sew. I don't like it, but I did it for this because I wanted the product. So you may be familiar with a knitting brand, I guess you could call it, called Hide and Hammer. And what Hide and Hammer does, if you're not familiar, is they make leather goods and project bags specifically for knitters and other makers. And their bags are beautiful, but they are a little expensive. And I think it's hard to say like, oh, it's worth it when we're talking about like a luxury handmade good like this, because it really entirely depends on your situation and how much you personally are willing to spend on something. But I think the prices are fair, particularly for their solid color bags. The bags that I really like from them are their roll top bags, which I can probably put up a picture. They just look like paper lunch bags, but they're made of canvas. They've got a little handle on them. They're fun looking, and those range from, I believe it's $80 to $150 depending on the size of them. And for something that is handmade, and well, I mean everything's handmade, but it's made by an individual artisan who is being fairly compensated for it. It's not just like there's a robot sewing it, which is not how anything works. Like even all of your clothing, everything that you own that's been sewn has been pushed through a sewing machine by a human. So for this, I mean, it has, like all of those other things, been pushed through a sewing machine by a human, but that human is being fairly compensated. So I think it's fair, and they're beautiful. They're really well made. But what I like are their ice dye bags, which are like 4 times the price. And I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. It's the same bag. It's just dyed. I don't want to be like overly critical when I don't know how that process is personally done for those people, but while I could see myself justifying spending $80 or $100 for one of their kind of mid-sized bags, I'm sorry, I can't justify $300. I can't for a bag. I just can't. I'm not in that position. If you are, go for it. I'm just not. But Spin Cycle Yarn sells ice-dyed fabric. So I was like, how hard can it be? I can probably do it. It's fine. So I bought their fabric. I bought 1 yard of it. I think it was like $30 for the 1 yard. And I didn't even necessarily need the full yard, but I'm glad that I bought the whole yard because I was able to like double line the walls of the bag and triple or quadruple line the bottom of the bag, and I was able to add this handle and pockets and a little like envelope closure on the top. I didn't use a pattern. I completely improvised it. Is it ugly? Yes, a little bit. Like it's not well sewn. There's seams that I just didn't get right. The only saving grace is that it's lined with itself. So even when there's little holes, it's just gonna poke through to more fabric. It's fine. But it works. It works. It's a fun green ice-dyed bag. I want to say the colorway is maybe Cataclysm? Maybe is the name of this color. I don't know off the top of my head. But it is from Spin Cycle. And yeah, I'm happy with it. I spent $30 on the fabric. This button was left over from a different project. Yeah, I'm fine with it. And I can, unlike the actual roll top bags, I can thread the yarn through and still work on a project when the bag is closed. Oh, and it's not a roll top bag because I just got the measurements wrong, and if you roll the top, it would look kind of funny. So, yeah, that's it. I'm happy with it. It was not fun to sew because my sewing machine is ass. It's like 15 years old and it sucks. But I did it, and it's been working, and I'm pleased with it. So that's that. Then the next thing that I finished chronologically is also not knitted, and it's some hand spun. It's another thing that I'm very pleased with this bag. Again, like, does it look professional? No, but it doesn't have to be. It serves its purpose. I'm very happy with it. This, I'm like, eh. So this is some hand spun that I did on my electric eel wheel. It's from Hedgehog Fibers, and it is, it's one of their potluck, the fiber, not the yarn, the fiber that I used to spin the yarn. The fiber is from Hedgehog Fibers, and it's their, I want to say it's 3501. It's a potluck colorway. I don't believe you can get it anymore because they're limited run, but I'm just not very pleased with it. The fiber was beautiful. I just don't think that the way that I spun it did it justice, because I did this 2-ply, and the yarn, or the fiber was mostly teal, and it had then in like small areas of like spots, like splotches, like the typical kind of hedgehog fiber style of really intense bright colors. There was like an apple green, like a Granny Smith green, hot pink. There was some brown in there, and they were so beautiful. But I feel like when it gets all plied up with the rest of the blue, it just all kind of looks blue-green. And it's not ugly, it's just not, it doesn't have the punch that it could have. I wish I'd chain plied it to keep those sections of color intact, so that instead of just being one kind of overall teal wash, you would have little sections of the various different colors. But you live and you learn. It'll probably still look nice knitted up, but yeah, they can all be winners. And the next thing, the last finished object that I have, I'm so happy with it. I'm so happy with it. It's my Stitches sweater by Kuzumikika. Look at it! I'm gonna put it on a hanger and then I'm gonna try it on, but just look at it. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Like, I mean, this is like classy and elegant and highly wearable, but this is just fun. This just puts a smile on my damn face. Look at it. Look at that. I am gonna try it on so you can see how it looks. Okay, so here, look how fun. This is, I was once again in between sizes. So I knitted, oh, crap, I actually don't remember. This one is probably also between size 4 and 5. I think it's between large and extra large. And yeah, I'm wearing it with 10 inches of positive ease. I used, Knit Picks Swish Worsted. And for the main body fabric, I held it with Rico Make It Tweed, which is a really interesting yarn. Let me go get it, actually. So this is the Make It Tweed. You can see, like, it's a weird yarn. Let me cover my face. It's a weird kind of yarn. It's got these like nylon, I believe it's nylon. Yeah, it's acrylic and polyamide. So it's got these little nylon-y threads, and throughout the thread are these neps of tweed, and you hold it with a base yarn and you get a tweed fabric. And it does have sort of a rough texture, so it does roughen up the softness of the yarn, but it's not that bad. I'm still, like, once again, I'm wearing this just right next to skin, and it's fine. For the swish, I used the colorway Granny Smith, Wonderland Heather, Nightshade Heather, and Voyage Heather. Those are the colors that I used. And the Make It Tweed is, I believe, just neon green. And yeah, I love it. I think I already said I've got like 10 inches of positive ease on this. It doesn't really look like it, but it is. Yeah, it's super comfortable. It's pretty warm because it is a worsted weight superwash wool sweater with color work. But it's just fun. I don't know. It's just fun. I put some acrylic, or not acrylic, I put some nylon in the neckline to keep it closed. I think it looks so pretty. It's the first time I've done that. Yeah, and I love it. I did my Icelandic bind off on the sleeves and on the body as well. I do not like doing an Icelandic bind off on like fine weight yarns, but something about it for chunkier knits, I just think it works. So yeah, I like this. I might keep this on a little bit longer just because I'm so pleased with it, and with it already kind of warming up to spring, I don't know how many opportunities I'm gonna get to wear this. I'm already a little bit warm, but I'm gonna wear it as long as I can in this episode. So now I'm going to talk about my whips, including the one thing that I have hibernated. So I've made progress since I last showed it to you, but I have decided to set it aside just because I'm not really enjoying it right now. And that is the Field Sweater by Camilla Vaude. So it's obviously a very beautiful sweater. And I've just, wait, am I showing you the front? Yeah, I'm showing you the front. And I've just added the contrast color, but it's just, I just haven't been feeling it. I'm going to say this with love. This is with love. Every now and again, like every year-ish, there will be one or two patterns that get really popular, and either I will make them or I will know someone who's made them, or I'll hear people talk about online who've made it, and it's just like not the most user-friendly or the most enjoyable or the easiest pattern, but for some reason it gets massively popular. And that's not to say that patterns that like aren't easy or whatever shouldn't be popular, but I always feel kind of surprised because I would think that the patterns that are going to get huge, that are going to go viral and everybody's going to make, would be the really easy ones, and not the really hard ones. But this one, as someone, I have a sort of like Bob Ross, Chef Gusteau ideology around knitting. It's like anybody, it's just yarn. It's just yarn. Anyone can knit. Almost, not nothing, but almost nothing in knitting is actually hard. It's just that it takes practice to get consistently working properly. This is hard. Like, this is hard. It's especially if you're doing. So the first chunk of it, when you're just doing these like single columns, it's fine. It's very easy. It's very rhythmic. Once you introduce this like second column here, and then once you introduce, if you're doing it with a contrast color, once you introduce that contrast color, it's tough, man. It's tough, and it's not that the pattern is badly written, but I do think that there's a little bit of maybe a translation gap because the original was written in German. So there's some areas that are like, huh? Like, what are you talking about? It's not a bad pattern. It's not that it's a bad pattern. It's not that it's bad design. But I am just a little bit surprised that something that at least I find genuinely pretty difficult, got as massively popular. Like, it feels like everybody's knit this, including relatively new knitters. Like, I'm having a rough time with this one, honestly, and I'm planning on finishing it, of course. But yeah, I've said it's really pretty. It is really, really pretty, which I imagine is why it is so popular. It's just, I mean, look at it. But just be prepared for more work than you might get from other cable circular yoke patterns. The next thing. Yeah, I think chronologically this is my next most recent thing. And this is a blanket. It's a crochet blanket that I started. I'm showing you the wrong side. It's a crochet blanket that I started just for like my mental health. I don't know. I like to crochet. I find it really relaxing. And these are colors I love out of a baby yarn that I bought a bunch of many years ago. Well, not many years ago, but like 2021 probably. It is Loops and Threads Baby Rainbow for all of the colors except the red. The red is a different yarn. I don't know what the hell it is. I've tried. I don't know. As far as I'm aware, it's another Loops and Threads yarn. It's also polyester, 100% polyester like the rest of it, and it's also discontinued. It's just a little bit heavier, and it comes in a bright, intense color, which the rest of them don't. But yeah, just a little mental health make. It's not been an active whip. It's something that I just, we'll do a couple rows on when I have a bit of time. And yeah, I'm happy with it. I don't have a projected end date for this. The other thing that I've got crochet is also, it's also crochet blanket, but this one is not for me. This one is for charity. I saw this yarn in the store. I was out with my boyfriend. We were on a date, and we went to like the fancy part of town to go on this date. And where we had gone, in the parking lot across the street was a Michael's. And it was way bigger and way fancier than my Michael's. And I was like, can we go, please? And I dragged him into Michael's, and I found this yarn. And this is Loops and Threads Carousel Twist in the colorway Tickled Pink. And it's just, I think it's meant to like mimic a hand spun yarn. It is 100% acrylic. It's a bulky weight yarn, but it's got like some bounce to it that acrylic normally doesn't. It's very ropey is the unfortunate thing, but it's really beautiful and it's extremely soft. And I'm usually kind of an acrylic hater. This is so soft. It's so nice. I love this. Uh, and yeah, I'm actually planning on making more charity blankets than this one out of this same yarn because it's so beautiful. Um, but yeah, that's it. This is for a kids charity called Project Linus, which is a charity that I have contributed to. Yes, I've contributed to before. Basically, they're dedicated to bringing new handmade blankets to kids in need. They work with kids in hospitals and trauma recovery, that kind of thing. And yeah, I don't know. I saw this color. Normally, I would go with something neutral for charity, so just to make it easier to distribute. But I saw this bright like unicorn cotton candy pink with all of the blue and yellow, and there's like rainbow streaks in there, and I was like, some 8-year-old girl is going to lose her mind over this. Uh, it looks really pale on camera, but in person, it's bright and fun and really beautiful. So yeah, that's just something that I'm trucking along on. Once again, like, it doesn't have to be finished at any specific time, because it's for charity. So whenever I can finish it, I'll just drop it off. No big deal. The next things that I've got are pretty recent cast-ons. They are both knitted. I'll start with the more recent one, or the less recent one, which is the Weekender Crew. I'm making a Weekender Crew again, except this one is actually DK weight. It's kind of a hard pattern to show off, because it's knitted inside out. So I'll show you the inside. So this is the inside of the front. Here it is. It's this very pretty, like, dark denim blue color. I love it. And the yarn I'm using is a recent new discovery. I'm obsessed with it, and I need to tell everyone about it. It's Barocco Remix Light. I love this yarn. I love this yarn so much already. I love it so much. Okay. Barocco Remix Light is... it's a DK weight. It doesn't seem like it's a DK weight because it's 432 yards or 400 meters in this 100-gram skein. And it's this thick, so it sounds like a fingering weight. It's not. I made that mistake. It's not. It's not. I started this sweater already in a bigger size because I had done a gauge swatch that I didn't block because I'm stupid. I had done a gauge swatch, and the gauge swatch told me that my gauge was going to be teeny tiny, 24 stitches to the inch specifically, which is pretty small. For a sweater, that's pretty small. That's like sport, like heavier fingering category. And I was like, okay, based on that gauge, I should make this larger size. I casted that on, started knitting it, and I was like, this looks a little big. I measured the unblocked gauge. It was bigger than my swatch gauge, because of course it was. Even though I'd gone down a needle size, it was still bigger. And then I blocked it, and I reached gauge perfectly. The gauge was, the blocked gauge that I got was 21 stitches and 4 inches, which is exactly what's in the pattern for this DK weight sweater. So I would say once you block it, it does bloom. It's DK weight. It is. You just get a ton of yardage in this ball. It is extremely soft. It's made of recycled fiber, I think. Yeah, 100% recycled fiber. It is ridiculously soft. It is so drapey. Like, this is an unblocked fabric. It's so it doesn't, the ribbing doesn't scrunch up. It's like, it lays really nicely. It's so flowy. It's soft. It's flexible. It's stretchy. And that's by virtue of the fiber content. So this, though it looks like a rustic wool, I think, there's no wool in this at all. It is, basically it's 50% synthetic and 50% plant fiber, but the specific makeup is, it's 30% nylon, 27% cotton, 24% acrylic, 10% silk, and 9% linen. And despite that content, like those fibers, which are typically regarded as not soft at all, at least in yarn, it is so soft. It's so soft. I love this yarn, and it was not expensive. I paid less than $60 for the whole sweater quantity, and it was actually even more than I needed because I was like, oh, it's fingering weight. It is DK. It's labeled DK, but whatever. I saw the yarn and I was like, there's no way. I love this. I love this so much, and I'm already planning on knitting more sweaters out of this yarn in different colors because it comes in a lot of colors. And I'm so excited because as a North Carolinian, I do not live in a cold climate. It gets cold here, like in January it was like 20 degrees a lot of the time. but it doesn't stay cold for long. Basically, our only winter month is January, and by February, it's spring. Right? So, like, this past week, for the past 2 weeks, it's been in the 60s and 70s. Today, it's in the upper 50s. Tomorrow, it's supposed to go up to 70, and it's just supposed to kind of go up and down until Monday. And even then, by Monday, it's still supposed to be in the 40s and 50s for next week, which is like not very cold anyway. It's like not super wintry. It's a little bit more spring. It's raining like crazy. It's pretty much spring already. And I'm really sad about that because I like to knit sweaters. And they're all wool, and wool is just hot for where I live. But with yarns like this, I can still knit sweaters. They're just a lot more wearable for me because they're made out of basically the same makeup that a t-shirt is, which is like half acrylic or half synthetic, half plant fiber. Yeah, I'm so pleased with this. I can't sing enough of the praises of this yarn. It's amazing. I love it. Go buy this yarn. I love it so, especially like if you live somewhere warm and humid. Because of the synthetic content, it's probably not gonna be great if you live in like Florida or Louisiana. It might not be great, but if you live like where I like in Appalachia, go for this yarn. It's amazing. I love it very much. Okay, so that's that. I'm making size. It's labeled in the pattern size 3, but it's actually the 4th size because the first size is called 0. I don't know. So that's the size that I'm making. I'm hitting gauge. I'm having a great time. Though I think I'm using a smaller needle, which is 3.25. So, the next thing that I've got. I'm actually making okay time. We're less than 30 minutes in. I have to sit here. I don't know. Anyway, I feel like I'm all over the place. The other thing that I've got is my revamped possum sweater. So this is knit out of, the reason why I'm calling it my possum sweater is because it's knit out of possum yarn. This is Wild Earth Yarns Possum. The colorway is olive. And this, unlike the Barocco yarn where I was like, oh, this is definitely fingering. It's mislabeled. It's definitely not DK. It knits up like fingering weight. And then it blocked out to be DK. This is the opposite. Similar situation, but it goes in the opposite direction. This is labeled on their website as fingering weight, and on the ball band as fingering weight. But I think that you would have to use an extremely small needle size to get to that weight, because for me, I've been achieving a DK with this. I was not really able to comfortably knit with this really small needle size that they recommend, and I've been using 4 millimeters for this flat, and I'm going to switch to a 3.75 when I knit in the round because I have a larger in the round gauge. And I'm getting a 19 stitch gauge in 4 inches, which is not fingering weight. So I don't know. I think you probably could like get a fingering gauge out of this yarn. Like I hear it. Oh, you can't really see that because it's pale. But like with it stretched and like compressed, it does kind of look fingering. But yeah, I don't really think so. I think it was labeled fingering weight because of the meter to weight ratio, which is 400 meters in this 100-gram skein. But this is a woolen spun yarn, and woolen spun yarns are lofty, and they're just going to have a bunch of extra yards per skein because of how much lighter they are. So, I don't know, but yeah. I've been knitting this new revamped possum sweater. I'm in the middle of a round, which I shouldn't have been, but I am. I started this, not this. I started a sweater out of this yarn that was intended to be an English tailored shoulder V-neck sweater. I started it in December. Yeah. It must have been end of November, early December, and I just never got around to finishing it because it something about it just didn't work. It was the wrong size, and I picked up the neckline wrong, and the shoulders came out too far, and I just wasn't pleased with it. So I restarted it, and I'm making a raglan, which is weird for me. I don't do that a lot, but it just felt right. So yeah, it's a raglan. It's a compound raglan approximately, but I'm kind of winging it. So unlike a lot of compound raglans, which will have the sleeve increase rate, and the body increase rate will be different. They'll be consistently different. So it'll be like, for this many rows, only increase the body this much and increase the sleeves this much. And then when you get to this specific point, then they increase out rapidly to give like a kind of specific shape. This doesn't do that. The compound nature is just to get the body and the sleeves to be the size I want them to be at the right point, instead of having gigantic, huge sleeve caps. It doesn't create the contour that a true compound raglan tends to. Um, but I'm just winging it. I'm just winging it. And yeah, the plan is to have the V-neck before I apply the ribbing. To have the V-neck come down pretty low, like pretty much all the way down to the underarm divide, because I want to be able to put a nice chunky collar on it while still having some skin exposure here, because I don't want this to be like a suffocating deep winter sweater. With it being a woolen spun yarn and it's all wool, it is going to be more warm just by virtue of the yarn construction. But I want to be able to wear it basically November through April is kind of the hope. So I do want it to have a little bit more exposure there. It's kind of because I'm used to getting through the flat part of a raglan or a circular yoke sweater. I don't know why the words are not coming to me. I'm used to getting through the flat, like, short row yoke section in an evening, and this has taken me multiple days, and I'm still not through it, and I have, I think, 15 rows left, which doesn't seem like a lot, and it's not compared to what I've already done, but I've still got, like, 15 rounds left before I'm actually done, and I'm just like, ah! But, yeah, it's a little early to say how I really feel about it, but I don't have any complaints yet, at least. Yeah, I love this yarn. Love this yarn. And when I have money, because I have no money right now, I want to buy more of it because it's so pretty. So, that's that. I have one more whip. We're making okay time. It's not amazing. We have okay time. One more whip. Something I'm going to have to get up for. But it is my whole spinning wheel. Okay. It's a spinning wheel. This is going to be a bit hard to show you because my camera doesn't like picking up the detail on handspun. But yeah, this is a tweed spin. Is this still connected or is this loose? It's loose, okay. It's a tweed spin from, it's the same brand that I bought my first sweater spin fiber from, which is going to come, Walnut Farm Designs, that's what it's called. It is a tweed fiber the colorway is called Heritage Green. It doesn't show up well on camera, but it's so pretty. It is just this most beautiful, it's a very lofty, fluffy, it's a South American wool blend, and it is just like cotton candy. It is so pretty. I didn't do anything to it when I got it, but it's so, it's just good. It's just good. It can be a little tricky to spin because it is so light and lofty and fine. It can really feel like you are kind of spinning with clouds, and it feels like it's gonna break all the time. But I've been able to get, it is quite hard to show on camera, but I've been able to get a very fine spin out of it, and I'm planning on chain plying this because it's so thin. It's so thin that I kind of have to 3-ply it, and it doesn't change color. It's one color, it just has different color tweed. So I don't have to worry about like it striping in ways that I don't want to, because it's just tweed. And it'll get me to practice the chain plying, which I want to practice for the future. That's that, and that's my holy balls. That is my last whip. I still have stuff to talk about. Okay. The only things that I have left to talk about are some acquisitions and some plans. So, and I'm also going to talk about social media stuff in this section. So, if you don't care, don't watch this. But we've got some plans. First of all, I've got some of this. This is Hobie Rainbow Bamboo. Probably the colorway Pearl Gray. I'm not certain because I hate the put up of this yarn. I hate it. It's awful. It's put up in this weird like cone put up, and it's so slippery. It just falls off, and it just falls apart, and it's very bad. I don't know why they put it up that way, but that's the put up, and I've reballed all of them. I don't have the labels anymore, but I think this is the colorway program. And for this, if I get accepted, I'm planning on test knitting Stolen Silver Spoons Light by Nicole Larkin of Common Thread Fiber. The test call went out today, like on our Instagram. And I think that I think she's going to send out the proper test application this evening through her mailing list. But it's a V-neck. I want to say it's actually also a raglan. And it's got this lace motif that comes down the side, which I asked her if I could make modifications to the test or if that would not fly. And she said the modifications are okay. She didn't specify what kind of modifications. She just said the modifications were fine. So if I get accepted, I would probably be modifying that lace, unless she's like, no, don't do that. That's too much modification, which would be fair. Which would be fair. I would be planning on switching out the lace for either pearl bumps or Estonian buttons, so that I have a texture motif on the side. Because I'm just not a big open work person. I don't want exposed skin down my whole body. Ew, I don't want to do that. It's not my thing. It's also not really a thing in menswear at all. And personally, it's just not the vibe. But this is the yarn that I'll be using. It's a sport weight yarn. It's so soft. I love this yarn. It's heavy, but it's nice and soft, and it's got that like cooling effect. So yeah, there's that. And then the other thing that I'm planning to do, which is also shiny and gray, it's also silver. It's like not exact, it's not the same color, but it's also silver. This is some Knit Picks Gossie in the colorway Chance of Rain. Yeah, this is colorway Chance of Rain. It is a wool and Cupro blend, and Cupro is it's kind of like rayon. It's just cotton, but it's processed in a way that makes it considered like a man-made fiber, but it's still just cotton. And yeah, it's a wool cotton blend basically. And I'm planning on making what am I thinking of? I'm planning on making the V-neck sweater that I like. It's an Rosetta pattern. The moonset pullover is what I'm planning on doing with this. I already have the moonset tee pattern, so I'm just gonna use the moonset tee pattern and just put long sleeves on it. That's what I'm gonna do. And I think this will be a good transitional sweater, just like this one. I bought some fiber. It's supposedly not come yet. I might have to check my notifications to see if it's come. Actually, hang on, let me check my notifications, because it's supposed to come today, and it might have come already, I don't know. Okay, would you believe it? It came literally as I was home. So this is from Your Fibery Godmother on Etsy. I'm gonna do a live unboxing. This is some. Oh my god, it's even prettier in person. Stop. Look at it. Oh my god, look at it. Okay. So this is the colorway Love Potion. I think I got it on Rambouillet. Yes. Just look at it. Just look at it. It's so cute. Okay, so I saw on Blue Sky, this pattern designer she'd done her own hand spun for this design that she was making, and it was these really like nostalgic Valentine's colors. There was like hot pink and a pale like periwinkle blue and purple and deep red, and just looking at those colors together, it just reminded me of like being a kid in the 2000s and the 2010s and making like craft foam mailboxes to put Valentine's in for school. That's what it reminded me of, and it was just like this whiff of craft foam smell. It was very nostalgic for me just looking at those colors. And so I went on Etsy. I couldn't find, they weren't really responding to comments, the designer, so I don't know what specific fiber they used, though I wish I did, because I would really love to just make my own skein of that exact fiber. I went on Etsy and looked for like Valentine's colorway spinning fiber, and this one was my favorite. Oh my god, look at it, it's so pretty. I'm going to start spinning this today. Oh my god. And I bought it like days ago, so it also came quite quick. Just look at that. Okay, so that's that. That's my other acquisition. And then I have I've got some yarn that I bought for a new sock design, and some Sorella yarn that should be coming early March, like end of February, start of March. I'll probably show you. I'll either show it off in my next podcast, or if I've already cracked into it, I'll just show you what I've made with it. And yeah, that brings me to some of the announcement stuff. So when I say sock design, I have in the past I've put out two free sock patterns. They're free downloads on Ravelry, no ads. You can just go download them right now. You don't even need an account. Those are always linked below. Excuse me. And I think they're a nice pattern. They're nothing crazy. They're nothing innovative. They're just color work socks. But I really like to write sock patterns, and I've tried writing more complicated patterns like for garments and stuff, and I kind of just think it's, to be honest with you, because I'm a one person operation. I do not have a grader. I do not have a tech editor. I don't have those things. A lot of designers just have a grader that they pay a salary to grade the pattern for them. Like they'll give them the pattern for their schematics, their size, whatever, and the grader will do all of their genius math and grade it for 15 sizes. I'm bad at math, so I can't do that myself. I mean, I can, but it's gonna take months, and it's not fun. I've tried. And it would be something that I would have to kind of work towards the point where, like, I can pay a grader $250 to grade my pattern. I can't do that right now. But something that I can do on my own is just write sock patterns. And it's very easy and really fun, and I love doing it. And, like, every day I've got another idea. It's like, ooh, that would make a cute sock. And now that I'm an adult, which I wasn't when I started this podcast, now that I'm a grown adult, I can do that. I can sell the patterns. They wouldn't be expensive. They would probably be $3 to $5. I think the sort of baseline price is typically $5 to $7. I don't know that mine are worth $7 unless it's a really complicated chart, which one of them is a very complicated chart that I'm planning on, whatever. But that is something that I would like to do not this coming year, but, you know, in the year ahead of us. Something that I'd like to do. Not a guarantee, it's not a promise, I have no idea. But it's something that I'm thinking about. And with that, that might mean like username changes for better branding, because Calling for Orpheus, while it's a unique name, I don't think it's the most memorable name, and it's also hard to say, and it's not easy for everyone to spell, so I would probably be going with something a little different. Not a guarantee, not a promise, I'm just saying it's possible. And I am currently working on a sock pattern. It's pretty simple. I don't even know if this would be a paid for pattern because it's so simple, but I think it's so simple, but we'll see. It's something I'm working on. You'll see it, and you'll especially get those updates on Blue Sky. So now we segue into the Blue Sky thing. So I used to start my videos with, you can find me at Calling for Orpheus on Instagram and on Ravelry. I don't really use Instagram anymore. I really don't. And even if you're one of my friends, it's like you might have noticed I'm probably taking a long time to respond to your messages on Instagram, even, because it's like I'm just not really on Instagram because I don't like it. I don't like Instagram. I use it to look at memes. That's about it. Like I post memes on my story, and even then I don't do that very often. And I don't like Instagram as a platform, particularly for creatives. Because the thing with Instagram is everything is expected to be so posed and polished and feel quite final. And that's just not how I work. I don't want to stop what I'm doing to pose a photo of my project. I want to just sit in my beat up computer chair, take a picture of it, write a little caption about what I'm making, and just post it. That's what I want. And it's just not really what Instagram likes. It's not what it caters to. And they expect you to post all the time. And I can post all the time if it's just post. Like, I can do that. But if I have to curate everything, and I'm just not that guy. I'm not petite knit. I'm not going to a cute cafe every single day where I can take aesthetic photos by the window. I'm just not doing that. And also Instagram is very, if you've been on Instagram, it's like Facebook, they're owned by the same company. It's polarizing and in one direction. If you catch my drift. It's just not the most positive platform. I find it honestly quite toxic. Even like within the craft space and out of it, just in general. And it just doesn't work for me. And I've tried to make it work for years, and it just doesn't. So I still have an Instagram, but I'm really not posting there. You can still DM me. I'm probably not going to see it unless you're my friend, then I'll see it. But I'm just not really using it. And what I am using a lot is Blue Sky, and it is a new-ish platform. It's not brand new. This is not an advertisement. I've not been paid off. I just actually like it. It was recommended to me by a couple of different friends. It's like Twitter 5-10 years ago. So it's, I guess, God, what year are we? Yeah, it's like Twitter about 5 or 10 years ago. God, I feel old. I'm not that old, but I really feel old. And it's much more neutral and much more positive. There's a very, 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 very active craft community on Blue Sky as well. And one of the things that I love about it is it doesn't really have an algorithm. Like, you're really kind of just gonna see what you follow. It's like Tumblr in that way. Like, you're just gonna see what the people that you follow, what they're posting or what they're liking. Or what you can also do is, again, like Tumblr, you can follow specific hashtags, basically, that are sorted into what's called feeds. And you can just, I don't even look at the homepage, because the homepage, like, you're still going to see politics, and you're still going to see doom posting, which is what I don't like about social media. But you can just, swipe over and into the craft feed, which is one of the things that I follow, and it's literally just crafts the whole way. Just an endless stream of only craft content. You can see only knitting content, only crochet content, only handspun content. And you can follow multiple. So it's like I follow book stuff, writing stuff, handspun, crochet, knitting. Those are what I follow, and that's what I see. I can choose to see any of that, and whichever one I'm looking at the moment, I'm only going to see that relevant stuff. And it's awesome. And it's much more casual, and honestly a lot more active. I've got... it's a lot more active, and I find growth a lot easier. So I've been on Blue Sky for like a month now, I guess, and I've already gained 90 something followers, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it took me like a year and a half to get that much on Instagram, and I have fewer followers on Blue Sky. I think I've got like 170 followers on Instagram, something like that, 150 maybe, and I get like a couple of likes on each post that I make, which is partially because I don't post often, but even when I was posting more frequently, like I didn't get a lot of interaction. On Blue Sky, despite the fact that I have fewer followers and a smaller scope, it feels way more active. Like, people actually want to interact with your post. They actually want to reply to you. They actually like your stuff. They actually repost your stuff. They actually care. And it's just I don't know, it's a better fit for me anyway as a social platform. And I've had a good time. And I would generally recommend it. It is, again, it's got that, like, a little bit of that Twitter flair, so you will still get people arguing over things that nobody was arguing, like, you'll still get, like, that, you can post I love waffles and someone will respond to you, hey pancakes. You're still gonna get that in social media, but it's not as bad as I think it is on other platforms. So that's where I'm gonna be active on, not Instagram. I'm not active on Instagram. You can, it's not going to kill you if you follow me there, but it's also not going to benefit you if I'm not really posting. So if you want to actually keep up with what I'm doing, I post my spinning stuff, I post my knitting stuff, all of it in real time. You can actually see what I'm doing. Go on Blue Sky. It's all over there. It'll be linked. The other thing is Ravelry. Ravelry is where my patterns still are, and it's where any of the paid patterns that I post will not be sold through Ravelry. They'll be sold probably through Etsy or a different e-commerce platform. Just because I don't like Ravelry as an e-commerce platform at all. But there would probably still be listings there. So my pattern page is still going to be linked there. But what I have not been using Ravelry for is actually organizing my knits. For the same reason I don't really use Instagram, is that there's something that feels so curated about it and so final about it, and I don't love it. I don't love it. And I don't have as much control over what data I can include. So I've been using a spreadsheet. I've just made a spreadsheet, and I can include as many data sets as I want for as many things. I have things organized by, the weight of the yarn, the main color of the project, how happy I am with it, and what techniques I use, the construction, the garment type, like that, all that kind of stuff. And less of the things that I just don't really care about that Ravelry has, like the brand of yarn or the designer. It's like I've improvised like half of the things that I make, so I'm not really using Ravelry for my personal catalog. I might later in the year, I might update it with some things, but right now my personal Ravelry is not very active either. So what's going to be in the description is, like I said, my Blue Sky and then my pattern store. They're both free. Okay, I think that's everything. We're about 50 minutes in, not as long as I thought I was going to be. The last video, I think that was 50 minutes long, that wasn't my Everything I Knit video, was only that long because I had to rant. And I don't think I ranted at all in this video. I don't think. Yeah, I think all of the rants were more like raves about things that I like. So yeah, I am so excited. Life is tough right now for everybody, especially in America. It's weird, it's economically weird, it's politically weird, it's environmentally weird. And I've just been making a lot of stuff to deal with it, and it's honestly been effective. And I'm so excited to break into this today. God, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Okay. So yeah, you will hear from me over on Blue Sky if you want regular updates, and for the typical kind of monthly updates that you get here, they're going to be here. They're still going to be coming. You might get a second episode in February, maybe. I have a couple of ideas, but you know what you can count on is the podcast. Next month it'll happen early March, or at the end of February if I have a lot to share. And yeah, that's it. So I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're taking care of yourself in this trying time. Feel free to talk about in the description anything that you're working on, or you know, if you're on Blue Sky too, drop your username. I'll follow you. I'll look at your stuff. Go ahead. I'm happy to. And yeah, I will keep you updated over there. I'll keep you updated over here. And I thank you so much for watching this very long, rambly, weird video. I probably need to make videos more often so that I don't like forget how to do it and just talk out of my ass for an hour. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun today. I had fun with you, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.